I still remember the night I found the first message. It was almost 2 a.m. I was half asleep, half numb, standing in the kitchen in a t-shirt and no socks, scrolling through his phone while he snored in the bedroom. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely tap the screen, but I kept going. Message after message. Different names, different numbers, different lies. That night didn't break me. It woke me up. I'm Natalie Burns. I'm 40 now. But back then, I was just a mom of two, married to a man who smiled too easily and lied even easier. I thought I knew him. I didn't. I thought I was safe. I wasn't. I thought I was special. I was, for a while. Until I wasn't. He cheated on me with everyone. Literally. Everyone. The first was our neighbor. Yeah. The one who brought us banana bread and said she loved our kids. She used to water our plants when we went out of town. She also slept with my husband while I was out buying Christmas presents for our children. I know because I saw the texts. They joked about the secret recipe while arranging their next meetup. Then came the coworker. She wasn't even subtle. They exchanged flirty selfies and work complaints like they were in some twisted office rom-com. One of the pictures still had her office badge around her neck and her blouse wide open. After that, I stopped counting. There were women from Instagram, strangers from bars, random hookups he saved under fake names like Mike Jim or Plumbing Guy. Every woman was a thrill. Every conversation was a dagger I didn't see coming until it hit. But the worst part? I wouldn't have known any of this if I hadn't checked his phone. He was good. So good. The kind of liar who looks you in the eye and asks if you're okay while erasing another text thread behind your back. I confronted him, of course. Sat him down at the kitchen table, heart pounding like a war drum, and asked him if he had anything to tell me. He didn't even flinch. Just sighed like he was tired and said, I'm a man, Natalie. It's in my nature to look. You can't blame me for being wired this way. He said he still loved me, that I was the only one who truly mattered, that the others were just needs. Physical, temporary. He wanted a wife, a home, stability, but he also needed freedom, adventure, release. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, feeling something inside me go silent, like a door closing for good. And then he said the line that I'll never forget. I know I mess up sometimes. Just don't make it a big deal. Don't look through my phone. Don't ask questions. Don't get dramatic. As long as you don't see it, it's like it didn't happen. He wanted permission, not forgiveness. Permission to keep cheating, as long as I played dumb and smiled pretty. And here's the part that will make some of you angry. I said yes. I told him he could have his little secrets, as long as I didn't see them, as long as it didn't touch our kids, as long as he didn't bring it into my world. And definitely not with anyone I knew, no friends, no family. But don't mistake that yes for surrender, because that was the night I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't leave with nothing, dragging my kids through a storm while he moved on like nothing happened. I would wait. I would watch. And when I finally walked away, it would be on my terms. People on the internet love to say one thing, just leave. As if it's that simple. As if there's a magic door with your name on it, waiting for you to step through into a new life with no cost, no consequence, no courtrooms or custody battles. As if leaving a marriage is like closing a browser tab. It's not. I had 2 kids, a toddler and a 5-year-old. I didn't have a job that could support me on my own. I didn't have a car in my name. I didn't have savings or a place to go, or even family nearby I could crash with. All I had was a man who cheated on me and a lease with both our names on it. And still, I didn't leave. Why? Because I was scared. Not of him. He never hit me, never yelled, never threatened. I was scared of what would happen after I left, of standing in family court, fighting for my kids, of handing them over to him every other weekend, of having to smile and lie to their faces when they asked why Daddy had a new girlfriend so soon. I was scared of being poor. of making $12 an hour while trying to pay for rent, daycare, groceries, clothes. Child support only goes so far, and at the time he wasn't making much either. I did the math and it didn't add up. So I stayed. For them. For me. For the roof over our heads. I remember once, in a moment of desperation, I called a divorce attorney just to know, just to understand my options. She was kind, direct, told me that since we didn't own property and I didn't have income, I'd walk away with shared custody and very little financial support. She even said, honestly, if you can hold out until you're more stable, it'll help you long term. So that's what I did. I stopped dreaming of escape. I started planning for it. But here's something no one tells you. When you decide to stay, it breaks you in a different way. You start lying to yourself just to survive. You smile when he walks in the room. You laugh at jokes you've heard 100 times. You clean the kitchen at midnight because it's the only time you can cry without anyone hearing. You become a version of yourself that you don't recognize. Quiet, small, calculated. You stop feeling like a person and start functioning like a shadow. But shadows watch. Shadows remember. And I remembered everything. I remembered the time he canceled date night to work late, then came home smelling like perfume I didn't own. I remembered the dinner where he called me insecure for asking about the new girl at the gym. I remembered every time he gaslit me, every time he made me feel crazy for noticing what was right in front of me. And slowly, that quiet girl inside me, she started whispering back, "You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're not done yet. But one day you will be." I think that's the cruelest part of it all, being smart enough to know what's happening to you, but not yet strong enough to stop it. Living in limbo, breathing under someone else's rules. But I wasn't in love anymore. I wasn't attached. I wasn't waiting for him to change. I was waiting for me to be ready. At some point, I stopped crying. I stopped hoping. I stopped waiting for an apology or a miracle or a version of him that only existed in my imagination. Instead, I started working. I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to build something better from the inside out, and I was going to do it in silence. It started small. I applied for a weekend job at a skincare clinic a few towns over. Just a receptionist, nothing fancy, but it gave me access. I watched estheticians work, saw how they moved, listened to how they spoke to clients with confidence and ease. I thought to myself, I could do that. So I looked into training programs, found one nearby. The tuition wasn't cheap, but my husband had just gotten a bonus, and he felt guilty about something, I forget what. So when I asked, he agreed to pay for it without question. "I want to support your little side hobby," he said, smiling across the dinner table. It wasn't a hobby. It was my lifeline. Every weekend, I went to class. Every weekday, I worked or studied or shadowed someone better than me. I started learning about chemical peels, microdermabrasion, microneedling. I stayed late, took notes, asked questions. The more I learned, the more I felt myself coming back online. Like my brain had been underwater for years, and now I could breathe again. Meanwhile, he thought everything was fine. He thought I was healing, forgiving, moving on. But I wasn't healing for us. I was healing for me. And he was funding every step of it. He paid for my certification, my exam fees, my starter kit. He paid off my student loans when he thought I was stressed and overworked. He even co-signed on a used car for me so I wouldn't have to depend on rides anymore. He thought he was being generous, supportive, redeeming himself. But I knew better. I was building my exit, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, and he was handing me the bricks. There were other things, too. Quiet things. I opened a new bank account in my name only. Started putting $50 here, $100 there. Cash tips, birthday money, refunds. I didn't touch it. I didn't talk about it. But I watched that number grow. I stopped putting big purchases under our joint account. I switched my Amazon to a separate login. I took note of every password he changed and every statement he didn't review. I wasn't hiding, I was preparing. And through it all, I smiled. I cooked dinner. I planned vacations. I kissed him goodnight. He thought I had come back to him, that I had accepted our arrangement, that I understood men have needs. He didn't know I had needs, too. I needed freedom. I needed security. I needed to know that the next time I walked away from a man, I wouldn't have to come crawling back because I couldn't afford rent. I found unexpected allies, too. One of my regular clients, let's call her Lisa, was older, divorced, sharp as a blade. One day after her facial, she looked at me and said, "You're too smart to stay miserable." She didn't know my story. Not really. But women like her, they know the signs. They see the weight in your eyes and the way you pause before saying, "Everything's fine." We started getting lunch after her appointments. She gave me tips, introduced me to a lawyer friend, told me which documents to keep copies of, what not to say in text messages, what to start putting in writing. I never asked her for help. She just gave it, quietly, steadily, like she already knew I'd need it. And she was right, because when the time finally came, I wasn't scared anymore. I was ready. I didn't leave on a whim. I left when it was no longer a risk, only a decision. By then, my kids were older, teenagers with their own opinions and phones and friends. My career was steady. I had clients who rebooked months in advance. I'd saved enough for a deposit on a rental. I had a reliable car, a separate account, a folder of legal documents with Lisa's lawyer's business card tucked inside. The house we lived in, we had bought it 5 years earlier, both our names on the deed. That was on purpose. Every time he made a payment, every home improvement, every new appliance, we were both building equity. And I was keeping the receipts. He never saw it coming, because I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I didn't pack in a fury or slam the door. One Monday morning, I dropped him off at work like usual, came home and called my lawyer. By Friday, he was served. I'll never forget the look on his face when he walked in and saw the manila envelope on the kitchen counter. At first, he thought it was a joke, then a mistake. Then he laughed. But it wasn't funny when he read through the petition, the line items, the documentation, the demands. I was calm, cold even. I had nothing left to explain. The marriage was over. I just hadn't said it out loud until now. And suddenly, the man who used to tell me I'd be nothing without him was asking if we could talk, asking if we could fix this, telling me he didn't mean it, didn't remember, didn't know what he had until it was gone. But I wasn't gone. Not yet. I was sitting right in front of him, just not his anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I let the paper speak. The process took 6 months. There were mediations meetings, a few moments where he tried to paint himself as a devoted father and victim of emotional abandonment. But the documentation didn't lie. I had timelines, emails, screenshots, witnesses, financial records, and a lawyer who was prepared, professional, and entirely unfazed by his theatrics. In the end, I got half of the house sale, alimony, not forever, just long enough to balance out our incomes, a portion of his retirement savings, my car, my business, and, most importantly, primary custody until both kids were grown. He got to keep his excuses. Some days he tried to be charming. Other days he tried to be cruel, but none of it worked. I wasn't that woman anymore. The real twist? A week before the divorce was finalized, he showed up at my new place. Not uninvited, but not welcome either. He brought flowers, said he'd been thinking, that he wanted to start over, that maybe we could go to therapy together, rebuild from scratch. I remember looking at him, really looking, and realizing I felt nothing. Not anger, not longing, just quiet. I let him talk, let him believe for a moment that he still had that kind of power. Then I smiled, said thank you, and closed the door. I didn't lock it out of fear. I just didn't want him walking in again, like he ever belonged there. Later that night, I found the flowers still sitting outside. I didn't bring them in. It's been a year since the divorce was finalized. I turned 40 last spring, and for the first time in nearly 2 decades, I wake up in a home where everything, from the couch pillows to the coffee mugs, is mine. My kids are older now. My oldest moved out last fall and got her own apartment. My youngest is finishing high school and already talking about colleges that are hours away. I miss the noise sometimes, the chaos, but I also love the quiet. People ask if I regret anything. The years I spent with him, the fact that I didn't leave sooner, that I spent my best years married to a man who barely saw me unless I was cleaning something or picking up after his mess. And maybe on bad days I do wonder what life might have looked like if I had walked away earlier. But then I remind myself, I walked away when I was ready, not when I was angry, not when I was desperate, when I was strong enough to leave without breaking, without begging, without going back. That matters to me. Some of my friends say I wasted my youth, that I missed out on my 20s, on independence, on being wild and free. But I don't see it that way. I raised good kids. I built a career. I got an education, paid for with his money, no less. I came out of that marriage smarter, stronger, and more secure than I ever was going in. He still tries to contact me sometimes, usually when something goes wrong, when he's lonely or between relationships. He sends texts with too many ellipses, half-hearted apologies, pictures of the kids from years ago. I don't block him. I just don't reply. He's not part of my life anymore, just a shadow behind me, a reminder of who I used to be and who I'll never be again. I'm seeing someone new now. It started slow, coffee, long walks, real conversations. He's kind, steady, and best of all, not threatened by my independence. I told him up front, I don't want to get married again. I don't want to live together. I don't want to combine bank accounts or be anyone's other half. I spent too many years disappearing into someone else. I don't plan on doing that again. He said he understood, that he just wants to love me as I am, not change me into someone I'm not. I'm not saying it's perfect. I still have moments of fear of losing what I've built, of waking up one day and realizing I made a mistake. But those moments pass, and they're replaced with something softer, something steadier. Peace, not revenge, not rage, just peace. Because here's the truth. I didn't need to destroy him to win. I didn't need to expose every affair or scream in every room or set fire to his life. I just needed to leave and not look back. I didn't get everything in the divorce, but I got everything that mattered. My name, my kids, my future, myself. And that's more than enough.